This module about Python function and scope of variables. Myself Konkunjana, Assistant Professor of Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. Jazz Group, it's a joint venture. So the topic in module 6 are Python function, introduction, categories of function, built-in function, user-defined function, function definition, calling a function, function with arguments, function with an argument and return type, function with default argument, function with variable length argument, key value pair as variable length argument, pass by reference versus pass by value, scope of variable, local variables, global variables, and memory management, stack or runtime stack, heap. We have learned and completed Python function. We have completed it. Categories of function, built-in function, user-defined function, function definition, calling a function, function with argument, function with an argument and return type. So we have completed all this in previous lecture. Now today we will start from this section, function with default argument, function with default argument. Okay, and this is Python module 6. This is Python module 6, and we will throw lecture 3. We have completed lecture 1 and lecture 2 about Python module 6. So what we will have to do, we will do more coding exercise on Python. For coding practice and exercise, I am using Python IDE with Python 3.83 shell, and I am using digital whiteboard for better clarification. Note down the text what I am writing in this digital board. Okay, so our task is to start the lecture for this session. Okay, now we will start function with default argument. We will start with function with default argument. Okay, function with default argument, we will start it right now. Okay, function with default argument. This is our topics today. Sometimes you will be presented with a condition where there has to be some value assigned to the argument, which will be called as the default argument. Default argument. What is your motivation to learn? That is about the default argument. This is very important. When it is required, this is required. When it is required, basically default argument. When it is required, default argument is required when the value have some arguments. Sometimes it is required when you are not mentioning the actual argument value. That's why default argument is required. So now let's try to understand this with a small code example. So I will start a coding example right now. Okay. So this is our last coding already we have done. This is about the function with arguments, function with an argument and return type. What we have learned in the previous section, function with return type. Here is the return type. These all are the arguments. This is the arguments. Okay. Where is the argument? These all are the arguments. Okay. This is the arguments. Okay. And this is the return type. Okay. We have learned about all these things. Okay. The return type and this is about arguments. How many arguments are there? There are two arguments. How many arguments? Two arguments. Okay. And we have written the value of c. We have written the value of c. Where the function have called? Here the function have called. We have called this function here. Okay. So in this case, what I have written, how to pass the value with the default argument. This is the calling portion. We have called within this function print. Within the print function we have called it. Okay. So now I will write a coding example. Okay. First, what you have to do? What we need to do? We need to define the function. How it will be defined? Using the def keyword. What you have used? The def keyword used. And suppose the name of the function in info. Okay. Now the argument is suppose name is the first argument and the second argument is suppose age. And here age is assigned a value that is 50. Clear? Assigned a value that is 50. Now write down the code next. First print the value of name. Next print age. Next print age. Okay. So what we have done here, we have defined the function there. Okay. We have defined the function here. This is the function definition. What keyword we have used? We have used the def keyword. Okay. And what is the name of the function? What is the name of the function? This is the name of the function. This is the name of the function. Okay. Clear? Now, what are the arguments? These all are the arguments. These all are the arguments. Name, age, the argument. But what I have written there? Okay. I have age I have assigned the value 50. Value 50. You can value 50. Okay. What is the value? The 50 is the value I have assigned there. Okay. Why I have assigned there? This is the default argument actually. This is the default argument. Clear? So age is the default argument and the default value is contained is 50. Okay. Now go for the next step. So it will be clear to you. Okay. Next step. Now I have to call this function in somewhere. Now go for the main code portion. Info is the function. Okay. I have passed the argument value as this. Next value is suppose next value is suppose 40. Okay. Next value is suppose 40. Okay. Next value is 40. Now again I have called the function info where simply I have passed the first argument value. Okay. Now one thing you have to you need to clear that how many arguments are there. There are two arguments. How many arguments? There are two arguments. Okay. Here in this calling portion, how many arguments you have passed? You have passed two arguments. But in this calling portion, how many arguments you have passed? You have passed only one argument. Clear? Okay. And for the next argument, that is age, you have passed this value. That is 40 you have passed here. Clear? But here nothing you have passed in this section. Okay, here what is the passing argument? You did not pass anything. Okay, so is it will be 0 or null? No. What will be the output? You need to show. First this portion kn will be printed and next 40 will be printed, and for this portion what will be printed? Okay, that you need to know. Okay, so now just run this one. Okay, run this program. What is your outputted value? What is the outputted value you have seen there? What is the outputted value you have seen there? Okay, for the first calling portion, this is the first calling portion. Okay, this is the first calling portion. Okay, where you have passed the arguments kn and 40. But for the second, this is the first calling portion. Okay, but in the second calling portion, this is the second calling portion. Suppose this is the second calling portion. Okay, but in second calling portion, here you have, but in second calling portion, have you passed this value? Have you passed this value? But from where you get this value 50? This is the default argument. This is the default argument. Okay, this is the default argument. You can see it. Okay, here you assign the value 50. That's why it have give you that output. Okay, so again I am explaining about the default argument. So what we have learned, this is the default argument we have learned there. Okay, this is about the default argument. Okay, now again I am explaining about the default. Here what we have done, we have here the info function takes two arguments, name and age. The age is the argument with the default value 50. In this case, during the calling of the info function, if age is not provided, then the function will set the value of age as 50. We have called the info function twice. In the first call, we pass the value of kn and age as 40, while in the second call, we just pass the value of name as kn. But we did not pass any other value for the corresponding to the variable age. That's why we get the output like that. That's how you get the output like that. This is the 50. Okay. So we have completed about the function with default argument. We have completed function with default argument. Clear? This is the function with default argument we have completed. Okay. Now next is the function with variable length argument. This is very interesting. Variable length argument. This is variable length argument. Clear? This is very interesting. Okay. If you have idea about C language, C++ language, you not be aware about the variable length argument. Variable length means the number of arguments will be varied. The number of arguments will be varied. Okay. There might be a, just I am giving some clarification. There might be a scenario where you need to pass more arguments than specified during the function definition. Okay, during the function definition. In this case, variable length argument can be fast. In this case, variable length argument can be fast. This is a very interesting features of Python function. Okay, what I have told you, just I am writing this one. Okay, now what you have to do, you need to define the function. Div is the keyword. Now function, and this is the name of the function. Next is the argument, and after that asterisk symbol and where will be there. This is the variable length argument and where will be there. Okay. Now, so what we have written there, after that code block. Okay. Code block, that means where you need to write down the code. So what is about argument? What is about argument? This is normal argument. This is normal argument. Okay. And that one is variable length argument, and that about variable length argument. Okay, so what we have done there, this is our argument, this is a normal argument. Okay, I have written there, this is normal argument, and this is the variable length argument. I have written this variable length argument here. Now this is very interesting. Without giving you the code example, it will not be better understood by you. So what I have told you here, arguments is the normal arguments which I pass to the function, and star where refer to the variable length argument. Okay, now this will be more clear through the code example. It will be more clear through the code example. Just I am giving an example. Okay, to give you the example what I have to use, I have to use this function. Okay, again I like to define a function. To define the function, def keyword usually used. Suppose the name of the function is this. Name of the function is, suppose this is the name of the function. Suppose variable under argument is the name of the function, and I have passed this value like that. Okay, next I like to print the value of this, and with a control statement I like to execute the number of variable. Var1 will printed there, and this is the number of variable that I like to execute one by one. Okay, and now in the main portion I like to call it. I have to call it. First I have give the argument value 60. Only 62 I have used here. Only I have used the value 60 here. Okay. Next, again I have called this variable with the value like that, with the values like that. There are many variables. So what we have written here, just I am in for the first calling portion, I have used this. This is for the first calling portion. Okay, but for the first calling portion there is no variable length. Okay, there is no variable length. Okay, there is no variable length. Okay, no variable length. Okay, clear? So but for the second portion, what we have done, for the second portion you can see we have called this portion. Okay, this is the variable. But what is about all these things? What is about all these things? These all are the variable I have used here. These all are the variable. Okay, now this is called the variable length. How many variables I have used here? 90, 40, 50, 60. Yes, this is exist. Okay, so this variable are exist. This is called the variable length. Okay, so I think you do understand. Now we need to call it, so it will be better understood by us. What we have to do? Okay, what we have to do? I need to call this code again. Okay, I need to call this code. Okay, now run that one. Okay, now I am explaining the code. What we have learned there. What we have learned there. Just I am explaining the code. In this case, we define. In this case, we define a function which takes two arguments, where the second argument is the variable length argument. When we call the function for the first time, we pass only 60 as the value to the argument, and the function takes it as the first argument during our second call to the function. We pass 5 numbers, so the function takes them as variable length argument. Depending on the nature of argument passed, the function either consider the first argument or the variable length argument. Okay, so what we have completed? We have completed the default argument. We have completed default argument. Okay, in this section we have clearly understood about the default argument. Okay, and we have completed function with variable length argument. This is very interesting. I have told you variable length argument, and this is about default argument. Okay, default argument, I have again I like to mention, that is the I would like to mention that is the most important for you and in Python function. So from the next lecture we will start key value pair as variable length argument. Thank you.